Welcome to the Frosmo webinar. Today we'll be talking about fast front-end development, easy personalization for SAP Commerce Cloud. And overall, I think the fast and easy will be the themes for the webinar today. First, we'll start with some introductions. My name is Maija Erkheikki. I work as Chief Channel Officer at Frosmo. I work with our partners. Then with me, I have our expert, Kim Siven.
Hello.
Welcome. And then online as a panelist, we will have Michal, and I'll try to pronounce his name, Vaskiewicz, from our partner ePoint, talking about their practical experience regarding SAP Commerce Cloud. And Kim and Michal are the experts today. I'll be asking questions, and they'll be sharing what they have learned in real-life customer projects. So let's start with the agenda. We have, of course, background, business case, and then we have three main topics today. We'll talk about hypothesis-driven front-end development. This really means that sort of testing and validating your specifications, and then doing development work based on that. Then we'll talk about personalization. There is tons of buzz around personalization, so we'll define a little bit what it means in the context of the front end. And then the third topic is a PWA, Introduction to Progressive Web Applications, which some of you may actually have seen in the news over the last couple days. And then we'll summarize with key takeaways and questions and answers. And you can submit your questions with the questions and answers part of the GoToWebinar control panel. So anytime you have questions, you can submit them, and then we'll take a look at them at the end of the webinar. But we'll start now with the background, the business cases. So overall, why are we here? Why are we talking about this? The business case, what our customers are looking to achieve on top of their SAP Commerce Cloud. Maybe the four main things are listed here on the screen. So, of course, the first one is the great customer experience. Who would not want to give a great customer experience for an e-commerce site visitor? Second one is efficiency of front-end development. So front-end is not something that is stable. It's a moving thing. It needs to be continuously improved, and that needs to be done efficiently. And then practical sort of business KPIs that our customers are often looking at are the average order values, and then conversions leading to then lower cost of customer acquisitions. So those are the business cases, quite common for e-commerce sites overall. And in terms of SAP Commerce Cloud, since that's the topic today, now I would like to turn this to our panelist, Michal, in Poland. And Michal, would you share your experience on the pros and cons? When would you choose SAP? What to take into consideration?
Yes, of course. Thank you. Well, if you check Gartner's Magic Quadrant, you'll find SAP Commerce is a leader in terms of completeness and vision and ability to execute. I think it's really powerful tool for both business to business and business to customer approach. It gives a high degree of personalization, customization, and seamless integration with other SAP products. These are very strong pros. And it is not a single tool. It is a platform. It means it gives you many tools touching many levels of your business. It's good for multi-businesses. I mean, for one solution for many brands, for many markets, for many channels. And so you can manage both ordering processes, you can manage product content, you can run marketing, and of course you can provide personalization with SAP Commerce. Talking about cons, it always comes. It of course takes time and money to implement it, and you need to be ready to change many things in your businesses for such a project. I think this is the most difficult level when you implement such a platform.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And one more question, which will then come back to you later on. So some of the challenges have led your company to actually develop and add on a PWA on top of SAP Commerce. So would you say, we'll come back to that in the later, but what would you say are the main reasons what actually made you develop the PWA?
We needed to be more agile on front end, because in terms of mobile experience, PWA is so new, so fresh, that we decided to develop such an accelerated for SAP to be able to reach all these functionalities very quickly and to implement them fast.
Thank you. We'll learn more about the PW at the last part of the webinar. So then Michal will turn the microphone to you again then later on. But then let's continue with the topic. So now we've established that SAP is really good for complex businesses, both B2B, B2C. And today we'll talk about how to take this sort of test and iterate lightweight approach, what can be done at the front end for the digital experience of the website visitor. So the first topic on the agenda is the front-end development. And first of all, Kim will share some of his experience on what we even talk about when we talk about the front-end development. Here we have a little architecture picture of what is this cost-efficient front-end development, or will you, Kim, first tell us what this is? What is it all about?
So this is like the basics of how Frosmo works. So our customers implement 2 scripts on the website, and through those scripts we use JavaScript to build the presentation layer in the visitor's browser and connect that with the customer's backend systems. So basically we build a layer on top of customer's website, and with that layer we can add, modify, hide any content on the website, or even build new functionalities.
Excellent. Thanks. So it's really a sort of a new layer on top of the yes. Presentation layer. Yes. What do you say are the benefits of this approach?
Well, obviously, since we are working in the browser, I think the benefits are we are fast, easy, and safe way to make the front-end development. Since we don't have to basically do any changes in the, as Michal said, complex backend systems. Mm-hmm. But of course, some of our customers has really old systems as well. So we can basically adopt the power of open source and the new technologies of the front-end development.
All right, excellent. Do you want to, I think a lot of people like the word safe. Yeah. It always feels good that you don't need to touch anything in the back end. What makes it so safe? What do you mean by safe?
Well, it's since we can basically do everything in the browser. So the safe means there is a lot of business critical stuff in the backend systems. So we don't need to do any changes there.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
And I have heard that for many it's really sort of a comforting thought that I don't need to touch the backend. I can just improve the layer, the presentation layer at the front end.
So everything happens in the user's browser.
Yeah. Excellent.
And even we have some customer cases for the fast developing. So our customer Class Olson has, for example, said that we can provide the solutions 30% faster than they can by their own. So.
Oh wow, that's impressive. Fast, 30% is impressive.
Yeah.
Then we have another aspect. If you remember at the agenda, we talked about hypothesis-driven development, and for us, this is a different way of thinking, because it means that you don't just start executing what you assume is right, but you always test and iterate. Yeah. Would you explain this like type of thinking or the process a little bit more in detail?
So let's say we have an e-commerce manager who has some kind of hypothesis. Let's say that, for example, by simplifying a checkout, we will increase our conversion rate. So we start from there and we start making a different kind of variations from the checkout, simplified versions. So let's say we make two different variations, which we call experimentation layers. And of course, we have the third variation, which is the original content. Yeah. So we can really measure the impact of the variations. And after the test, we choose the best performing variation. And after that, we can choose if we want to continue showing that with Frosmo, or if the customer wants to implement that into their own backend. So basically, I think everything that the customer wants to build in their backend, we should test first how they actually work, since that will save a lot of costs, for example, that they don't have to build it many times, but we can first test what actually works.
That's excellent. And it's great that you mentioned the cost, because I was just reading a Seth Godin's book, and what he's saying is trash early, meaning that in the early phases, when you create the specifications, that's the time when you have different variations. You can have multiple people involved giving their opinions, and then you trash the ones that are not right. Yes. And then actually the changes that will really enter your development backlog are the ones that you really know you want to have in your e-commerce platform. That's great. Do you have anything else you wanted to add on this?
Well, we can go forward. Basically, as I said, we can show the changes in Frosmo, or we can, or the customer can actually implement them in their back end. Yeah. So I would say if the change is something critical for the website, it should probably be implemented in the back end. But otherwise, if we add some content, for example, we can definitely show it with Frosmo.
Yeah, that's excellent. There are a lot of questions on what do I do where. And then what definitely Frosmo is great for is the personalization layer, and that's the next topic on the webinar. So we'll talk about personalization. And this is great if you remember what Michal was saying in the beginning. SAP is used both by B2B and B2C. So I would say that over the years, we have seen much more personalization on B2C sites, because those are often sort of more straightforward customer segments. But something I see like in a lot of discussions right now is personalization for B2B. Because in B2B, especially on the site when making purchases, there might be a very small amount of customers who generate a large share of the revenue. So personalizing the experience for them and making it as relevant as possible is really, really critical, and is something that's coming up in more and more B2B discussions. But personalization is a big word. It's like if you follow any marketing blogs or any marketing events, it's all over the place. And for a lot of people, like personalization, the first thing they think of are like this sort of display ads it feels like an ad is following me. And often I get the question that, is that personalization? So now I think we need to set the context. When we talk about personalization now for SAP Commerce, we actually talk about these two cycles and how they lead to a personalized experience.
Yeah. So basically, when we in Frosmo talk about the personalization, we want to combine two things. First thing is context, which means what is happening for the user in the real time. So what is the device the user is using at the moment? What was the campaign he landed from to the web pages? So we can, for example, recognize the UTM parameters, or if the user clicked some button. But I don't think that's yet the personalization. I think that's more like we are having like triggers based on what is happening right now. And if we talk about personalization, we want to add history data to that. So we want to know a little bit more from the user in order to target relevant content for him or her. So for example, if we have an e-commerce store which sells kids' clothes, for example, and we have a user who has bought kids jacket, let's say boys jacket, for example, size 98 to 104. We already know that he probably has 3 years old child, So we can already, from the first page view, show relevant content to him. So we need to add basically history data, but also know the context if there is some device is mobile, or where did he actually land from, or what was the behavior in that specific session. And of course, all these, when we show targeted content, we need to also test it. So we need to have like different variations for the original content as well. So we actually know, because we want to optimize the web shop all the time. So we actually know that we are doing the right things and we are improving the website all the time.
Yeah, excellent. And that's probably one takeaway from the entire webinar, that you have to do the continuous optimization and improvement.
Yeah.
There is one thing in general in e-commerce which leads to higher average order values and also helps the visitor to find what's important for them as soon as possible. So that's recommendations. When actually, and I think we've all seen recommendations, and it's the classical people who watch this were also interested in that, or you might be interested in these topics. But how do we get the data? So what needs to be done if you want to provide relevant recommendations? Maybe I'll put all of these here.
Yeah, you can put all of those. So what I think is great in Frosmo, when we talk about the recommendation flow, we can actually do all of this inside Frosmo. Of course, we can use customers' help or other feeds or anything, but all of this is doable inside Frosmo. So first we need, of course, the product data, and where we can get it. We can get it from the product feed, or we can track it from the customer's website. And when we talk about machine learning, we need to push that data to our Frosmo data pipeline. And that's where we actually analyze the data, we train the data, and we think about what kind of algorithms we want to use. We have some ready-built algorithms, but we can also build like custom algorithms that fits for our customers best. And the best thing is that no matter what the output is there, we can also use that output in the customer's website through Frosmo. So we can also push the content onto the website. But also whatever output we have, we can also push that to other systems. So we can also use the data in the CRM or in the email systems.
That's excellent. Excellent. Then there are some couple magic words here that keep on popping up in discussions. A lot is companies would like to utilize artificial intelligence or machine learning on their website. And they think that, okay, is that a massive project? Is there something sort of out of the box I could utilize? And we're actually naming a couple machine learning algorithms. We talk about collaborative filtering and content-based filtering. And we decided to take some of these as examples. I'll show on the next slide, because then that kind of really demonstrate what these different algorithms are for. So here are the algorithms. Would you explain like what's the difference between these?
Yeah, I can broadly explain it. The difference between these two is that collaborative filtering is more like we can think about similar users. But in the content-based filtering, we are actually comparing the products or items. So the collaborative filtering is something that most of the big web shops are already doing, and we can talk about fully personalized recommendations, for example. And it's based on the assumption that similar users are interested of similar things. So when we analyze the data, we try to find the group of similar users who behave similarly, or they have the similar demographics, but the shopping behavior is really similar. And when we have those groups, we can actually recommend and we can know what would be the interest of each user. And then we have the content-based filtering, where we actually compare the different products and try to find similarities between these products. And that's, for example, the good case would be, for example, if the user lands from the specific campaign, let's say that the user has searched Christmas lights and lands to the website, we already now know that the user is actually interested of Christmas lights. So we probably don't want to show in the recommendations washing machines or anything outside of the Christmas. So we probably want to show related products. So with content-based filtering, we can actually read the content of the products and find similar products related, for example, related to, for example, that Christmas lights. So it's more like finding similar products based on the similarity metrics we actually define.
Yeah, that's interesting. So as an e-commerce manager now, I get the option that, okay, what type of algorithms would you want to use? Do you have like a rule of thumb on where to get started?
Well, I think the collaborative filtering is good to start with, since that's we can even it's fast with the cold start, since as soon as the user interacts with the site, we have something more information from the user. So as soon as then we can actually show him already the relevant content, since we have some kind of clusters or groups of users built already.
Yeah.
But the content-based is more like if we want to find similar products or products that match with something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's mainly used in, for example, media sites where the users read articles, and we think about that because they read this article, they are probably interested also of this article because it has similar content, for example.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. And that was a good addition, that a recommended item does not need to be a product. That can also be content.
Yeah.
And we've seen also cases where it's a mix of these. So you might have a product and then there are related reference stories, related articles on that, sort of more information. So the set of content, what is being recommended, it's not only limited to the products, which is good to understand. But I think these are great examples because we have a lot of people asking that, okay, if I want to utilize the power of machine learning on my site, do I need to get a gigantic customization project? Does it need to be like coded manually from the beginning? But no, there are a lot of ready algorithms and ready products you can use for this purpose. And on the next topic, we'll go back onto the mobile. As if we saw the mobile phone as an example on the recommendations slide. So about getting recommendations on your mobile phone. And I think mobile is a great theme, and Michal already mentioned it in the beginning. I like if I do online shopping, it's in the subway while I'm commuting. And it means that really the store needs to be supporting mobile devices as well as possible. So now there is this magic word, or not actually word, three letters, PWA. What is this all about?
Well, the progressive web applications are basically web applications that actually load like the regular website, but they still have some functionalities of the native applications. So basically these combine the features of the modern browser and the applications so we can make the better mobile experience, for example.
That's great.
And I think the benefits of PWAs are that they are reliable, so you can use it offline. You don't need good connection for it. It's fast, so basically the content can load in the background. And the engagement is also one thing. So you can have the website on your mobile home screen, or you can use push notifications for it as well.
So that's great news for all of us mobile shoppers.
Yeah.
Then we have great news for everyone running a SAP Commerce site. So I will turn to Michal. The PWA Commerce Accelerator, you mentioned it in the beginning that your company decided to really take action and offer a way to improve the experience on SAP Commerce site. Will you tell us a little bit on this accelerator?
Yes. We decided to develop such an accelerator, which is ready to implement the front-end tool that really makes your store working like an app. Because the question is why we need it, why you need it as an owner of e-commerce system. Here come two things. Web page is something that gives you coverage. You can reach many users, and just by attracting them to your website. They can use it. With native apps, when you want your users to experience, to have greater, deeper mobile experience, there is a funnel. You need to make your users download the app and then start using it, come through all these permissions, installation, and on every step, you lose your users. With PWA, it doesn't work like this. With PWA, you can imagine like a mobile app which is delivered through the web. So in our accelerator, your shop is available through the web, but it behaves like a mobile app, which means it gives the users a very real mobile-first experience with all the benefits going with it. I mean, it works offline, it loads very quickly, you can browse it even with slow connection, and I think it gives the experience we're talking about, gives totally different conversion rates in terms of the shopping process. And Kim said a lot about optimization and improvement. So remembering how users use the systems, it means we need to have this front end really excellent, and we need to have this front end mobile friendly, and this is what our accelerator gives.
Excellent. Thank you. That's a great explanation. And we're actually planning on some more PWA related content later on, maybe in about a month or so. So definitely stay tuned in terms of the website and the webinars. There's more to come because this is a really, really important topic, and I definitely welcome it. So the PWA was the third main part of the webinar. Now, if we think in terms of the summary, the key takeaways, something to go home with or continue your day with, I would summarize them this way. So first one is the fail fast. So anything you want to do, test your assumptions, test it in the browser, and only then when you have validated what actually works, then develop in the backend. It's kind of like tipping your toe in the cold water before you actually jump in. So really test, validate, and it's a continuous process. It's never ready. Then the personalized experiences. So definitely, as Kim was explaining, there are the two dimensions. There is the history and the context, which you need to take into consideration when creating the personalized experiences on a website. Then machine learning. So yes, there are easy way, out-of-the-box ways to utilize machine learning on your website, for example, for recommendations. And then we had the two basic types of algorithms introduced here. And exactly as Kim and Michal were explaining, create these native-like experiences with PWAs because it makes the mobile shopping so much more enjoyable. Any additions, Kim, to these before we take a look at the questions and answers for the webinar?
Well, basically, I think it's really important to keep optimizing and testing the website as we have here already. So everything that we do should be tested first and should be like measured before implemented on the website. It really saves costs and makes it faster.
Yeah, excellent. Great summary. Now we'll take a look at questions. So let's see the questions on the webinar. We had some questions here earlier on in terms of, do I really need something on top of SAP Commerce Cloud? Because often customers have the feeling that there are so many features. There is so much I can choose from. So do I really need something on top?
Well, of course, the front end is actually developing really fast, and the users are demanding all the time more and more because they are used to it for example, from the YouTube and Spotify and Netflix and all kind of applications. So they are used to actually to get the latest front-end technologies. So I think, for example, with Frosmo, you can actually all the time develop and use the latest technologies in the front end. So you can keep, even if you have a little bit limited resources, they can focus fully on maintaining the complex systems. And of course, with Frosmo, we can actually build really complex segments and really like high-level personalization. So I think that's the big benefit for, and of course the testing benefit also.
That's great. Then the question, one more question, the one we get often is, okay, where do I start? Like, how can I, because there is so much to start when, if we think of the digital experience, the presentation layer, you could go here and there and this and that. How do I know where to start?
Well, I think always the customers or the companies should define their goals, of course, to know how to measure the optimization, but also we should know actually the user journey and analyze it and see where we can find the bottlenecks and the where we can get the most wins out of. So when we do the optimization, to actually fix the bottlenecks first on the user journey.
Excellent. And then the question we had here are the PWAs. The PWAs built on Frosmo some way. So that was a great question there. So because we talked about Frosmo, we talked about the PWA. So Frosmo can be used either on top of the regular SAP Commerce frontend, or then it can be used for personalization and testing with the PWA. So we were thinking about having the architecture picture here, but then we figured that we don't have the time for it to go through the architecture separately. So either way, but the PWA is really an option for the entire SAP frontend.
Yeah, and we tell more about the Frosmo way in the next webinar we have from the PWAs.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks. I'm sending my special thanks to Norway for the great question on how this works. I think we are pretty much ready to wrap up. So our contact information, sales@frosmo.com. I want to thank Michal in the remote location. And thank you, Kim.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you, audience. Please contact us if you have any further questions, and we are happy to help you forward. Thank you.
Thank you.